Greetings, my friends. Following up the previous video on how to read a research article, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to go about doing a literature review in terms of what's the purpose of a literature review and then how to kind of try to put things together. So let's start big picture first, right? The goal of a literature review is to communicate to your reader what is known about the topic that you have chosen to research. So remember, you're writing it for a reader who you assume is, has some maybe basic foundational knowledge about the topic, but you're not writing it for an expert. So you have to make sure that you are writing it in a sense to try to educate them about what is known about that topic. So for example, when you're writing a literature review for me, for this class, don't assume that I know much about the topic that you're reviewing. You're trying to educate me in terms of what the literature is saying about this particular topic. Now, of course, what you're doing in here is just a several articles, but typically a literature review is many articles on a particular topic, and you're trying to synthesize a lot of literature to communicate what's known about that topic. So that's the purpose. You're trying to educate the reader about what is known about this topic. So as I said before in my previous video, I think it's really helpful to have a systematic way to structure what you want to pull from the articles that you're reviewing. And so review the previous video for one potential way to do that. If you don't use my suggested way, find some way to kind of take a look at how to organize what you're trying to do. So you want to start off the literature review, as I have here in this slide, with talking about what the topic is, right? So it says define or identify the general topic issue of concern. So you're trying to situate your reader in terms of what is the general topic that I'm trying to take a look at, and make sure that you communicate why you are interested in reviewing this particular topic. And you can get a little bit personal there in terms of why that particular topic is of interest to you, or what you hope to learn from digging a little bit more into this topic. And this introduction doesn't have to be longer than a well-framed paragraph of a third of a page or a half of a page or something like that. The majority of the literature review is what I describe here as the body. You would not have a heading that says body in your literature review, but this is kind of a description about what it is. So in this section of literature review, this is where you are, giving an overview of what has been learned from reviewing the particular articles that you reviewed. Now, you're only doing a mini literature review of 2 articles, and so you literally can, get into a good bit of detail probably about what these 2 articles are saying about your topic. When you're doing a bigger literature review, you can't, review every single article. So if you have read 20 articles and you're doing a literature review on that, you don't want to just review each of those 20 articles. That's going to get boring quickly. It's also not really giving the reader a full picture about what that literature is saying. So for larger literature reviews, as I say here, you want to group the research studies and other types of literature according to common denominator. So maybe 4 of my articles are all grouped together because they had a finding that this was true about this particular topic, and another 3 articles are put into another grouping because they found that something else was learned about a particular topic. It's up to you as the researcher to group them into meaningful ways, and then your headings in this section would correspond to whatever the themes were that emerged from that, right? So it talks about summarize individual studies or articles with as much or as little detail as each merits according to the comparative importance of the literature. So if I'm doing a larger literature review and I have 4 studies that are connected to a particular theme, I don't have to say an equal amount about all 4 of those studies. There may be 1 of them or 2 of them that really is much more meaningful and is much more important, and I would end up communicating more about them. Again, in the mini literature review you guys are doing for this class, you're going to be trying to hit most of the topics that I reviewed last time with my annotated bibliography video and how to read a research article. For larger ones, you're going to go a little bit more in terms of a broad sense. And then regardless of how big or small the literature review is, you want to have something at the end that's kind of reminding the reader, summarizing for the reader, what the key points are that you gleaned from that particular research. Right? As it says here, the purpose of this section is to provide a summary and synthesis of the literature review, tell the reader what the common themes are that exist, and who the major contributors to the body of research are. These are just some potential ways to group that. You summarize the findings, the results that people found, summarize their conclusions, and then maybe point out some things that need to be done next for this field. This is a really, really important skill as a researcher in terms of how to read through a group of literature on a topic and think about it and organize it in meaningful ways. The more you practice this, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So if you have any questions about the mini literature review you're doing for this class, don't hesitate to reach out and hold on to this. A reminder of how to approach literature reviews with more articles for future classes that you may have. As always, hope you guys have a great day.